Hello and welcome to Go-to-Market Foundations. In this series, I talk through key concepts and challenges involved in developing innovative products and taking them to market. If you're a founder or part of a commercial team at a startup or SME, you will probably already be familiar with many of these concepts, but I hope that the examples I give of how they apply in practice will be helpful. I also aim to explain them in an accessible way using clear language, helping the whole business understand your strategy and the rationale for it, promoting good teamwork and avoiding needless friction. I'm Alden. I'm a product strategy advisor at ValueLink Pro. This course is built on my 25 years of experience in taking innovative products to market as a software developer, product owner, and product manager. In particular, working as a product owner brought me deep into complex prioritization challenges for Amino, TomTom, and VividQ. In every business, there's a balance to be found between tactical needs and strategic roadmap, and product backlog becomes the fulcrum of that balance, with even small movements shifting it one way or another. In the role, I learned a great deal about the practical application of strategic planning and about building the infrastructure for growth. All businesses have the same fundamental shape to the roadmap. First, you develop a product, then you launch it, then there's a period of stabilisation until you're ready to expand, and then finally it becomes about how you respond to competition. In this video, I'll be looking at three concepts and challenges that are particularly important as you stabilise after launch and finding market fit before you're ready to grow. Stabilisation is frequently overlooked, and understandably so. While you're in develop, you're burning capital. And while launch puts you into the market and gets you revenue, it's not until you grow that typically it's enough to easily cover your running costs. And only growth is the real proof that you have found market fit. So all the time that you're in the market and not actively scaling up, your investors understandably become increasingly nervous. But it's not until the end of the launch phase that you've confirmed your market fit and fully defined the product you're delivering. Before you can grow, you need to be able to deliver it repeatedly, confidently, and at scale. Stabilisation is the work that you do to make that possible, which depends strongly on what you're building. If it's B2B hardware, it might be all about supply lines and factory control processes, whereas a B2C SaaS product might be focused on platform compatibility with 1,000 different versions of Android. Whatever the product, three key themes will be present: the cost of quality and finding the right level for your business, prioritization, and the difficult art of focusing your limited resources as the market opens up to you. And finally, finding the balance between building for the future versus responding to opportunities now. Your quality management systems are a key factor in determining whether you're ready to scale and in protecting your brand as you grow. During the develop phase, user exposure is via alphas, user trials, possibly target releases with a lead customer. In each case, the product is explicitly pre-product, and bugs are expected and tolerated. At launch, expectations for quality are higher, but innovative products, especially from startups and market entrants, they're expected to have a few teething issues. Your first customers are those most excited about the product and most tolerant of issues. So as you grow, you begin to encounter the more conservative segments of your market. Also, as you grow, your market becomes more complicated, more patterns of use, more platforms to interact with, more opportunities for bugs. So tolerance for bugs falls, while the challenge of maintaining quality rises. And the problem is that quality is expensive. Most engineers, good engineers, aim for it just works quality. Few products hit this mark. We might have got there with rocks and sticks. We definitely haven't got all the bugs out of fire yet. Cost and effort scale exponentially with quality. To hit it just works, you need to think of every set of inputs into the system, every way it can be used, and then you need to understand the right thing to do in that situation. and the user needs to share that understanding. And then you need to test every version and potentially every unit for hardware products to make sure that that's what it actually does. It's a hard bar to clear. And outside of certain safety critical applications where the smart answer is to control your contexts and your inputs very carefully, few customers can afford the kind of cost that comes with making a product perfect. So you're going to ship with bugs in. The question is, which ones? Imagine that you're just about to launch and the development team comes to you with a problem. It's borderline. It's probably okay to release with it, but also you really should fix it. Do you hold back launch and fix the bug, or do you ship and hope for the best? Now it's a month later, and the development team comes to you with another bug slightly more severe than the previous one. Do you fix it, or do you ship with it? If you decided to accept the bug and ship with it last time, the tendency will be to do the same again. It's a borderline, so it's a difficult call, so precedent dominates. So engineering teams tend to one of two different feedback loops, either loosening and relaxing standards until anything goes, or tightening them until you never ship at all. Both are disastrous. The answer is to know the right level of quality for your product, write it down, and then, whenever a new bug comes up, particularly borderline ones, use it for guidance. Don't fall into the trap of assuming that perfect quality is the best quality. Quality comes with a cost, and an imperfect hammer is much to be preferred to hammering a nail with your finger because you can't afford the perfect hammer that's the only thing on offer. Know your market, understand what it can bear and the cost of quality for your product, then write down the right balance for that and use it in defect triage. It's not a big job and it will save you a world of pain. In summary, maintaining quality will become harder as you scale, and customers will become less tolerant of your faults. As you move out of launch and towards growth, it's important to build the quality control processes you'll need to be ready to respond to this challenge. Cost scales exponentially with increasing quality, so rather than chasing impossible perfection or allowing poor quality to tarnish your brand, you need to understand the balance between cost and quality that's right for your market. Quality targets can be a particularly helpful tool in sticking to this vision. My aim here is to introduce key concepts, and so in this video I haven't discussed automated testing, code reviews and other quality-focused systems. I simply assume that you're already using them intelligently. While it's tempting to think of systems like test-driven development as guaranteeing perfect quality, in reality, it's part of how you choose where you sit on this graph and the cost of doing so. When we say test-driven development, how much coverage? How much time should developers spend writing tests compared to adding new features? To answer these questions, you need to know your quality targets. All of which is part of the greater question of how you decide where to spend your limited resources. This is a key question for all businesses, but it's particularly acute for startups and innovative SMEs with more energy and ideas, fewer people to deliver them, and a much lower ability to survive and recover from missteps. And the most difficult time of all for it is as you move out of launch towards growth. Up to this point, it's all been about reaching the customer, understanding their need, and proving that you can solve it, and the resulting daily crises making the decision for you about where you need to focus. But now you have market fit, and you have to decide, out of the million things that you could do, the handful that you will do. This feels like a terrible place to be. You have all of these great ideas and opportunities, and you're slapping new ones on the pile each day, and you have only the bandwidth to chase a tiny fraction of them. It's soul destroying. But think about the alternative. If you take any message home from this entire series, remember this one. Feeling overwhelmed by good ideas that you don't have the capacity to deliver is healthy and normal. You never ever want to be in a business that can deliver all of its good ideas. That is the sure sign of a business that has run out of creativity and energy. So, having far more ideas and opportunities than your capacity to deliver them is healthy, normal, and a good problem to have. But it's still a problem. When you're working on a good idea and a new idea pops in, it's very tempting to switch tracks. After all, it looks even better, right? It's easy to be excited about it, and somebody has done work, probably in their own time, to create this opportunity, and they're attached to it. If you don't follow up on it, it's difficult not to be at least a little bit hurt by that. Everyone that you employ is a human, with all of the emotions that that involves. So, why is it a bad idea to switch track? After all, this might be a better idea, right? The problem is, you can't know that. Especially if you're a startup or innovative SME, you're doing new things. You're discovering what's possible and what's valuable. Of course, each new prospect looks like a better idea than the last. If they didn't, you wouldn't have been tempted to even put them on the list. And they might indeed be better ideas, but they might not. The only way to find out is by trying it. And this is the other problem with switching to the better ideas as they pop up. As we explore an idea, the shine tends to come off it. We forget the reasons why we were initially excited about it. Those reasons stay the same, and we already know them, so there's not much need to talk about them. All the new information is complications. We can't solve it as simply as we thought. The user need is interleaved with this other problem. The market is more nuanced and structured than we imagined. All of this is part of the process of taking an idea and making it real. It's the work you do to realize a vision, building the understanding and the relationships that are the core value of your business. You have to stick with an idea and work at it to find out what's really possible and valuable. This is the heart of product management, knowing what bets to take, when to back them, and when to pivot. There's no certainty. The only way to know for sure what's possible and what's valuable is by doing it. You can, and you absolutely should, use data to help you make informed bets, but they're never going to tell you what decision to make. And you will always see the problems with the path you take and the opportunity of a path that you pass. So the data will largely keep leading you in the wrong direction. The game is to pick bets with good upside and limited downside. Know the assumptions that underpin that analysis and change direction only when you need to, such as when those assumptions prove false. Don't lose faith because of problems along the way. Problems is normal. This leads to the third challenge that becomes acute during the stabilisation phase, balancing strategic vision against tactical needs. During the develop and launch phases, everything is focused on building the product and finding market fit. Once you have that confirmation, you're finally free to turn your attention to strategy and architecture for scale. But until you have scale, resource is still tightly limited. Indeed, as I discussed earlier in prioritization, in a healthy business, this never really goes away. So investing in those good ideas and laying foundations for your future vision of the future conflicts with responding to the opportunities and the revenue in front of you right now. Imagine that you're an innovative tool maker. You've launched your first product, a smart wrench, with a lead customer, and now you want to grow. You want to get your first wrench into the general market as soon as possible, but you also plan to expand your range and follow up with a full set. Once the wrench is on the market, it will be hard to change, but you haven't started the design of the rest of the set, so how can you know it will be compatible? This is the classic architecture trap. As you lock down the product to something that you can repeatedly deliver and scale, you need to make decisions about what it is, and is not. You will have a vision for how that product scales and grows, and in order to be sure that what you're building is compatible with that future architecture, it will be tempting to do the initial design work now. But that delays you in taking the product to market, and it increases your costs now for a vision that might change substantially by the time you get there. The solution is not to solve a problem. It's to make sure that the problem can be solved. It's a subtle distinction, but it's an important one. In the example, the first version of the smart wrench becomes a constraint for the design of the rest of the set. Rather than having to do at least outline design for the full set, a big job, the question becomes whether there's anything about that initial wrench that will make that job, the set design, impossible. Generally, that's a much easier question to answer. That frees you up to act now, bringing forwards your access to market information and revenue, confident that when the time comes, you can still act on your vision. While this is a simple concept, it's a very powerful one. The goal is to intentionally and carefully keep the door open to your strategic vision without placing big bets until you know that you're ready. Before you invest in a range of smart tools, you need to see how your initial smart wrench performs in the market. Is it used the way you expect? Is the demand there? I'm not arguing against making strategic bets and long-term plays. I'm giving you strategic agility. Knowing your roadmap allows you to keep your options open so that you can manage your risks, gather the information and data you need from the market, and be ready to move or pivot when the time is right. In this video, I've looked at the cost of quality, the importance of knowing the right level of quality for your market, and how quality targets can be helpful in sticking to it. I've talked about prioritization and the most important message in the whole series, that while it often feels overwhelming and depressing to have far more ideas than you can explore, it's actually a sign of a healthy business. I also talked about the importance of consistency and developing ideas enough to understand their true value. Finally, I looked at how you can keep your strategic agility by doing just enough analysis to keep the door open to your plans on your roadmap without delaying short-term revenue or over-investing before the business is ready. You can also find my talk on the develop phase, looking at product versus project business models and the definition of product, the role of product management and MVP. And in my video on launch, I look at market fit, how to understand constraints on your pricing, and using features and benefits to maximize your value. In the growth phase, I'll look at sales, the importance of relationships, cost of sales, and how to use channels and partners to multiply your sales power. Finally, in compete, I'll look at barriers to entry and understanding your cost base. Thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you in another video soon.